do not expect it will take some work and some like lessons to get you to that dream. If you don't expect that, if you don't think that life and see the pattern in a man saying the same thing that, say, your dad used to say or a friend used to say, and when I see something that is happening that I've allowed or enabled, I stop. Even if I claim a boundary, I'm able to see where that is showing up like 2 or 3 other places in my life, from friends, sisters, brothers, doesn't matter. And I didn't recognize it because we put numbers on. We put blinders on. We hope for the best and don't want to like start over again. Then that means, guess what? You got to be vulnerable. You have to know your worth. You have to be willing to have a hard conversation, and you have to be willing to get up and leave if they aren't willing to do the hard work and vulnerable with you. There is no blame. If you know you deserve it, you won't stay in stagnant. If you know you deserve it, then you will hold people accountable to be their best self. Because if you enable small, guess what? If it's a mirror and a yin and yang of life, you enable small because you're enabling yourself to stay small. We're taught to not cry. We're taught to hide our feelings, to not rock the boat. We're taught to protect ourselves because if we share all of ourselves, we might be judged or shamed. But do you know what that mirror is? That means we're going to attract people into our life that judge and shame us because we judge and shame ourselves. We're going to attract people into our life that trigger every lesson we need to learn to make it to our best version of ourselves, and then run from every single emotion as it comes up for us to learn it. The difference that I have learned in my hell to where I am now, every day I wake up and I surrender to the game. I surrender to them showing me signs, synchronicities, coincidences is what we call it, to show me what I need to heal. Show me what I'm not seeing. Show me how to be the best version of myself. Are we asking Spirit, God, Gaia, whatever the hell you want to call it, to show you the pain, show you your holes, show you your imperfections so that you can love them, heal them, and move on from them and grow from them like we try and help everyone else do but ourselves? Or do we drink? Do we smoke? Do we do everything else? Do we have sex with random people because we do want to feel connection but we don't want to feel ourselves and work? You can't get the love, the connection, everything that you see in movies and all of that kind of stuff unless you love yourself unconditionally. Unless you love yourself on every aspect of your journey. You can't love somebody else for theirs. That's the judge and shame mirror. So I don't know where, well I do. Back in history, think of it. Every single king, every single person, every single whatever, they were in control of what we have used. Bible, whatever, like ancient tribe transcripts, whatever. They were in control of each century, each version, each thing that was found, all of those things. So if a king in power didn't like what was found from his ancestors and he wanted to be right because his ego, not learning the game and using past people's like lessons to, grow from it and not have to feel pain, he would take those pieces out, right? They hide those pieces. Just like we're dealing with fake news now and they want to keep the narrative on what they want it to be. Every king and everything, and I was going through even readings, newspapers, books, everything, because by the way, everything is on Google. You can search, and they even have books from the 1700s, 1800s, all of that, all online for you to be able to ask the questions. But are you asking the questions of why am I here? What is my purpose? What is my why? What am I meant to do to help the highest version of myself and the people around me and the collective and the community and all of that? Because every single person is a cog in the wheel. We're all connected. We're all connected. So that means we have to love ourselves just as much as we love somebody else. We can't just throw all of our love into someone and then get mad at them when they're not loving us back. because you're not taking the time to love yourself back. So how can you expect it from someone? We need to not have expectations that we don't have on ourselves for someone else. We need to not forget what we went through to make it to the end of the game. We forget that it took us a lot of time and a lot of whatever to heal after a relationship. But if you meet someone else, you're demanding them to like claim you and be this, blah, blah, blah. Otherwise you're out. Like, you've got to have the same amount of empathy, the same amount of patience, the same amount of everything you had for yourself to heal and grow as someone else. You can't expect somebody else to share emotions with you if they never have before, if you're not willing to ask yourself how to heal, get better, and share yourself emotions, journal, whatever. We can't ask someone else for something that we're not willing to ask ourselves. We are supposed to share our experiences, our pain, our past, to be able to stand up for the next person that needs it and give them that you, me, and community feeling and feel seen and supported and loved. For example, like Nazis and the Jews. The Jews were ostracized, all of that kind of stuff and everything. Why aren't the Jews the first ones to like try and help this Black Lives Matter thing? Because they know exactly where they were. I had my mom on Father's Day of all things go into the debate of Black Lives Matter. She doesn't understand it. She's never been racist, all of that stuff. The Mormon religion is all about, loving and blah, blah, blah. And she starts reading this article about a pioneer lady talking about her ancestors, her people understand that Black Lives Matter because they were ostracized, they were tarred and feathered, they were shot, they were this, they were hung. Then why isn't the LDS Church the first one to stand up and support knowing what it's like? Why is it any different for them versus Black Lives Matter and them not being seen, treated equally as like a human deserves to be treated? Why do we forget so fast what our grandparents went through to get us here? What we should probably support people in our community and have empathy for because they're going through it now. If we supported each cause based upon what our families, ancestors, our lines, our genealogy went through to get us here, did you know we probably all went through the same shit? We would all be on the same page because we all can see how our histories lined up to be the exact same. And it's the same evil trying to get each one of us. It's not any different. It's just different times, different ways, different packaging. We have put a lot of power in words. A lot of power. That's why my mom was fighting, saying she was racist. I help people. I've had this and I've done that and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter, Mom. Because were you ever okay with me marrying one? Well, but that's different. That would make your life harder. Not if you see them as equal. That's only if you see them as lesser than yourself. I don't see them as that. Because it's attached to a word that has power, which is racism. I'm not blaming anybody for the perspective we have right now. I am blaming and seeing it as there's an issue, and once we can see clearly there's an issue, or there's a possibility of a different perspective that makes more sense, that is up to you to dig into it, to be willing to see a different perspective, to be willing to know that you might have been wrong, but until you know better, you can't do better. So if we're not learning from our lessons, writing them down, trying to know what our goals are and document them so you don't hit them again, we forget them, which is exactly why everybody forgets and doesn't support the next person. That is part of this journey of life. We forget them, which means we can't have empathy for ourselves or others, which is why we leave only the good parts in the books, not the bad parts. But the difference is if we're all positive and negative, if we're all yin and yang, we can't solve the bad without knowing the good. We can't know the good without knowing how to solve the bad. We have to know all parts of our history to be able to create a plan and see it in all aspects. Then we're able to see the pattern If we don't look at all pieces, you don't see the patterns. So we're missing pieces of the pattern. Because if we look at astrology, which is a proven fact all the way back to like why they were figuring out how Mayans did what they did and Aztec and everything, think of it this way: trusting in the alignment of the earth and everything on why we can have crazy things happen at certain things in time, why the world is hitting the craziest energy we've ever had. The last time the energy was even close to it is right now was 1904. Do you know what happened in 1904? Tesla, all these other inventions that have created the world that we are living in right now with the technology we're using right now. That's how potent it was back in 1904. 1904. And that's how fast they forgot it. That's how fast all of that ambition, intuition, that big dream, all of it was kept in greed, not fully shared, not fully embraced. Could you imagine what our world would have been like if they would have taken Teslas instead of somebody being scared of it and hiding pieces of it, taking all of it and putting it into full force action? We wouldn't be having global warming issues right now. Whoa, right? We wouldn't need coal. We wouldn't need any of that, because if you know Tesla's thing, it was endless energy using the world itself to create abundance and what we need. But if people need money and want money based on things we need, then why would they ever want us to know that? Because then you wouldn't need oil, you wouldn't need gas, you wouldn't need electricity, you wouldn't need all of those things that are all separate industry pieces that are owned by people making lots of money. Funny how that works. Somebody's ego got in the way of like growth because they wanted to be greedy. That's not for the highest good of the collective. So just remember that. Give yourself grace, give others grace. See it from a different point of view. Be willing to dig deep to see it from another point of view. You would be really, really shocked and surprised, because there is no blame in this world. So stop allowing yourself to be in something that is not worth your time, value, and what you deserve. Maybe we'll enable everybody to be the best versions of themselves. But that's my journal entry for today and what I have seen coming in hot. So hopefully everybody else can have an amazing, wonderful day. And it makes sense. Bye.